Hi, I'm Elise Lex de Castro Peak of By Hand London Sewing Patterns, and today I'm going to show you how to create a sheared off-the-shoulder top or dress from an oversized man's shirt that I picked up in a charity shop. Step 1 is to lay out your shirt and cut the top of the shirt off just underneath the collar. With your shirt laid out facing you like this, we're going to have a little feel through the front for that yoke seam. The yoke seam at the back is where this upper portion of the shirt meets the rest of the body of the shirt at the back. So we want to basically be cutting it across just underneath that seam there. So from the right side of my shirt, I'm just having a little feel through where I can feel that yoke seam there, and I'm going to start my line of cutting just at the edge of the sleeve there. Yeah, you need to use a pair of sharp fabric scissors to get through all those seams. My favorite ones are these Fiskars Spring. So now that we've cut along this line, we can discard this top portion. Definitely keep it though, because you could definitely do something fun eventually with that collar. So now we've got the off-the-shoulder portion of our shirt cut out. We just need to neaten off this raw edge on an overlocker or with a zigzag stitch, and then we're going to be pressing it to the inside like that to neaten it off and hem that down before we sew some rows of shirring elastic to bring that all in like that, so it's nice and tight across your shoulders. Step 2 is to finish the raw edge of your neckline. You can do this either on your overlocker or with a zigzag stitch on your regular sewing machine. I'm going to use my overlocker. This is my overlocker, and this is what I'm going to use to finish the neckline on my shirt. I've got it threaded up with pink thread, but if you have an overlocker, you'll understand what a pain it is to change the color threads, so I don't care. I'm keeping it pink. It doesn't need to be blue. And I'm just going to go ahead. If you're using the overlocker like me, you can use the knife just to trim away any uneven cut lines. If you're using your zigzag stitch on your regular sewing machine, just make sure that your zigzag overcasts the raw edge just to keep it nice and secure and stop that fabric from fraying too much. The great thing about using a check shirt like this is that you've got some really nice straight lines as your guide. Overlocking all done. And as you can see, it's still much too wide for my shoulders, but that's where the shirring elastic comes in. That's going to cinch it right up close for that really cute off-the-shoulder style. Step 3 is to hem the neckline. I've got my ironing board here and my iron ready to go. We just need to press this overlocked or zigzagged edge to the inside, ready to be stitched down. The setting that you put your iron on will vary immensely according to the type of fabric that you're working with. I've got a cotton shirt here, as most men's shirts are, so I can really crank it up to the highest heat. So I'm just going to fold it over by a really small amount, just 1 centimetre is enough. When you get to the corner here where you're going over the centre of the sleeve, you might just have to ease out and just kind of pull out your fabric a little bit, because that's the only part where it's not on a straight line. We need to press this edge in of the neckline so that we have a nice crisp fold ready for when we come to hemming it. So now that neckline's all pressed, and I'm going to take it over to the sewing machine to finish the neckline. So I've got my sewing machine all set up, I've got it on a basic straight stitch so I can finish off the neckline, and at this point I'm going to take the 2 open button plackets and actually just put them together like that, so that then I can sew them, I can sew all one continuous line of stitching all the way around. Make sure that you remember to backstitch at the beginning and the end of your line of stitching. With your neckline hemmed, step 4 is to sew a few rows of shirring elastic all the way around the neckline. I've already loaded my bobbin full of shirring elastic into place, and I've changed the settings on my sewing machine to get the best result out of my shirring. This will be very different for everybody's sewing machine, so make sure that you have a practice on a scrap before you actually start working on the real thing. Working with shirring elastic can be quite tricky if you've never done it before, but I go through it in detail in my course on Domestika. Now that you've sewn your first row, you can align the edge of your sewing machine foot with that first line of stitching so that you create parallel straight rows of shirring. You also want to make sure that you stretch your fabric gently as you sew so that you don't get your stitches all bunched up and not get that nice elasticated effect. You want to do at least 3 rows of shirring so that your elastic is nice and strong. And you want to make sure that you're constantly checking your bobbin as you go, as the bobbin elastic can run out really, really quickly. And you don't want to do that mid-row because then you have to unpick the whole thing and start all over again. So this is how it's looking with 3 rows of shirring. I really like it with a little bit more, so I'm just going to do 2 more rows. Great, so the sewing's all finished. The last thing to do now is just trim off all these little loose threads and elastics. And that's all done. One man's shirt completely transformed in less than an hour. At this point, you could take it even further if you wanted to and cut the sleeves a bit shorter and do the same shirring elastic rows there for a cute little puff sleeve, a little bit like this one that I'm wearing. You could also add some shirring elastic to the waistline to make it a cinched shape. The possibilities are endless. I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you want to learn more about me and my process, check out my online course on Domestika. You'll find a link in the description below.